Arrow, and this is a What I'm Thinking debrief for the week of March 9th, 2014. As part of the process for developing performance metrics like efficiency and WN, quite a bit of statistical analysis has been done in an attempt to correlate what publicly available game stats relate most closely to win rate. A preponderance of evidence from the various analyses show that damage is most closely related to wins. In effect, players that do more damage tend to win more games. This comes with a giant caveat though, as doing a lot of damage doesn't necessarily guarantee wins. Statistical trends don't always line up with individual battle results. When and where you do damage is also just as important to consider. Tacking on damage after a battle has already been decided, like in a blowout or last stand, have little effect on the outcome of a match. Another thing to consider is that there is an alternative means of winning matches by capping the enemy base. I've seen more than one match that seemed well in hand suddenly become a loss due to a smart player or players sneaking onto cap and winning a match when the enemy team was out of position to defend. With that said, damage does matter. I don't think I've seen a match end with one team capping out the other with no tanks being damaged. Although it's come close at least once or twice in the old Cameron app, as the spawn points used to be significantly separated from the cap locations. This means damaging and knocking out enemy tanks is critical to your team's success in just about every match. I mentioned knocking out enemy tanks in the same sentence as damage because kills do ultimately matter. The mechanics of World of Tanks allow a tank with one hit point to be just as dangerous as a tank with full health, so it's important to finish off tanks to remove their guns from the field, even if statistically speaking kills don't correlate to wins as much as damage does. Ultimately, there are a number of factors that impact the outcome of a match, and players that do a lot of damage tend to do other things that impact matches as well, even if it doesn't show up on the scoreboard. We'll be taking a look at this in the Match of the Week! The replay they'll be looking at is a platoon battle from March 10th on Karelia in my Jagdpanzer E100. I am platoon with Jovial Madness in his E50M and Hardicon in his Object 140. As noted on the loading screen, this is a standard battle. Reviewing tank composition for this battle reveals the following. This is a Tier 10 battle with 8 Tier 10s, 2 Tier 9s, 4 Tier 8s, and a Tier 7 scout on each team. Both teams have a single Tier 8 arty piece. While the enemy team has significantly more firepower, including 3 E100s and 4 Tier 10 tank destroyers, my team has significantly more mobility with 5 mediums including 4 Tier 10s. I don't recognize anyone in this battle. As the match loads in, our platoon's plan is to go to the valley, with Jovial and Hardicon taking the hill while I keep the enemy at bay at the base of the hill. The valley is an ideal location for my Jagdpanzer E100 as it's a limited engagement area with arty cover. I'm expecting a lot of attention from arty as I'm the biggest gun on my team. As the battle gets underway, I'll start heading off the spawn location and south into the valley. A number of our tanks are also going in this direction. Our Leopard 1 is currently leading the charge. Hardicon's not far behind, is Object 140. Jovial is also not too far behind either. Got a Waffentrager E100 spotted at E2, Tiger 2 spotted at G4. I'll be happy not to face the Waffentrager yet. AMX 5120 spotted at K6. Also have a WZ 131 trying to push the hill. And you can see he's already pulling out, retreating. Trying to get into position to line him up. Stop, scope him in, snap a shot off, and I knock him down. Jovial and Hardicon easily take the hill. This isn't a big surprise given the lack of speed on the enemy team. Looking at the minimap, our team has overloaded the southern flank with 9 tanks in this location. While some may consider this an unbalanced deployment, it's functional and advantageous given that our mediums control the hill. They will have the opportunity to shoot across the map if any enemies push the northern flank or middle. You can see that my Jagdpanzer E100 has a 21.68 second reload. With only an E100 spotted at J7, along with the fact that he's falling back, I will push over to maintain control of the hill and keep the enemy out. I'll be able to use the corner at the base of the hill for cover while reloading, so that I will only have to take fire when I push around to get my shots off. You can see that our flank is pretty overloaded at this point, with the 4 mediums plus the T-44 now climbing the hill. I've got the E100 and T-110E5 headed with me. Got a tank destroyer way in the back. Can't see the label right now. AMX 5120 spotted at H3, along with it looks like a T110E3. Pushing forward, I spot their GW Tiger P. I'm going to try to line them up, but our T110 actually jumps in front of my shot, but I wait, line them up again, and I knock down the arty. Our E100 is blocking my line of retreat. Jovial has joined me now in the floor of the valley. He takes a pretty hard hit there from an E100, it looks like. Waiting for my reload, and then I'll pop around the corner and see what I can do here. Backing out, looking for an opening. Our E100 takes a hit. Pulling forward again. Line up the bat jet and I get a hit. Now pulling out, I bounce an E100 round. The friendly E100 and T110 E5 are putting me in a difficult position. They are pinching off my route forward and continuously getting in the way of getting my shots off, as well as at times blocking my avenue of retreat. While I was admittedly frustrated by this, as my platoon mates can attest to, I keep working to get my shots off while falling back into cover to reload. Starting to pull forward as my reload winds down. E100 and I take a bit of a hasty shot there. While I wasn't entirely aware of this during the battle, Jovial is noobing it up by pushing the WZ-131 wreck forwards. Takes some return fire, including some heat rounds from the E100s. Our teammates are doing a good job here. The enemy is not making any attempt to advance on us. Jovial's still pushing that wreck. AMX 5120 in the back. Our E100 knocks down one of the E100s. Pulling forward. Going after the E100s. Aim up on the police bar. And I miss. The police bar on top of the E100 is a definitive weak spot. I take a hit from the FV-215B-183. It's just a critical hit to the track, no damage. Repair my track and pull back out. Looking for an opening to pull forward, but my teammates really aren't giving me too many options right now. You can see the turret of the bat jet, line it up, and I knock down the bat jet. Some may consider taking a 19-point enemy out of the battle to be not a good use of the JP-100's gun, but the bat jet is a dangerous opponent, so we want to get him out of the match. Waiting for my reload and trying to wait for the E100 to get out of my way a little bit so I can move up. Don't really have a shot on that E4 because of our T110 E5, even though I don't think I'd be able to due to the terrain change. Pulling forward again, going for the police bar in the 100, and I get a hit. Pulling back while I reload. One of our rhombuses has pulled forward. He's up at D2 now, taking on the Waffentrager E100. Pulling forward now that I've reloaded. Lining up the turret on the E3, and I hit him in the cupola. Bounce another shot. One of our rhombuses is complaining about our team's distribution. We have lost all of our tanks on the northern flank, although the majority of the enemies are squeezed into the valley with us. I'm working to line up the cupola on the E4, and I miss over the top of it. Our E5 is almost one-shottable at this point. Our E100 is down to 51 hit points now. Trying to line up the E4, but I haven't reloaded yet. A couple more seconds. I bounce another shot, that time from the E4. Pulling forward. Don't have a shot at this location. Pull forward more. Going after the E100 again, aiming up the police bar, and I knock him down. We lose our E5. The enemy is starting to run out of tanks. Lining up the E100's police bar again, and I get another hit. He's down to 636 hit points. Back out while I reload. Jovial and our E4 are circling around the hill. Hardicon's not far behind. Our E100 knocks down their E100. Looking to line up the 183. As my reload completes, get a shot in, I get a hit. Jovial gets knocked down by the 183B. Enemy's down to 2 tanks. Gonna look and see if I can close in and get another hit. Pushing forward, and our T95 knocks down the 5120. T95 is actually on the hill behind me. Just down to the 183. closing in. I don't think I'm going to get a shot at him. He's behind the rocks. Articon is closing, the E4 is closing, and our E4 knocks down the 183 for the win. Looking at the after action screens, I destroyed 4 tanks, damaged 3 more, hit 9 of 12 shots, did 6,800 points of damage, received 12,870 points of potential damage, and earned 1,737 experience before the double. I earned a steel wall and high caliber medal, as well as an ace tanker badge. Overall, my team utilized its significant mobility advantage to take control of the hill. The enemy hung back in the valley, allowing me to push forwards to J7, closing the door on a counter push. As I noted in the battle, while the team's distribution was overloaded on the southern flank, this wasn't a problem because we had control of the hill. The battle then devolved into a slugfest with my TD playing a starring role. I utilized the hill at J7 to keep my tank out of the line of fire during my long reloads. The enemy E100s did little to protect their frontal weak spots, and I easily worked them over. Something that I didn't know at the time of the battle was that the FV-215B 183 was using AP rounds against me. While those rounds do have significant penetration, the Jagdpanzer E100's mantlet armor can shrug them off. Had he been using Hesh rounds, I likely would have taken more damage, which would have required more caution on my part. Before closing out, I wanted to mention that since I started posting videos again, I've been having issues getting YouTube to display them at the 1080p resolution. After doing some experiments and testing this past week, I believe I've solved the issue. All future videos should have the 1080p resolution available for those that want it. Also of note, I've started production of a new episode of What I'm Thinking. I'll be covering the French Tier 9 tank destroyer, the AMX-50 Foch. Look for it in the next week or so. Thank you for watching this What I'm Thinking debrief. Stay tuned for more content soon.
Ha 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 ha.